Alrighty, so we're going to do a little update on the 6610 here. It's been a couple months since I got it. To recap, I picked this thing up for cheap, knowing it needed some work. It didn't move. He thought it was the dual power, which it ended up not being, luckily for me. It had some electrical gremlins with the headlights and such in the dash, which is mostly sorted at this point. It still needs a fuel sender, which is like $250 through New Holland, and a 6-pin flasher relay, which is like $60. And the only reason it really needs that is because it controls the parking brake light also. Currently, and I have used it since I've fixed the dual power, and I'll talk about that. And I've fixed the electrical. And I'll talk about that a little bit. Currently, though, it is still tore apart. The quadrant levers and stuff were pretty seized up. So I took that apart yesterday, got the pins out, got them all cleaned up and stuff. I'm waiting on the hat bushings, little plastic hat bushings for it, because they were all shot and mushroomed out. So I'm waiting on those. Those should be here tomorrow. Hopefully, and I can have that back. I just swept out the cab and stuff. There was a good half-inch of dirt that came up over this lip in here. I still got to get these stupid fan and stuff out. I think I'm going to have to end up cutting these sheet metal screws. They're pretty stuck in there. But we'll talk about the electrical system first. What we did. So what ended up being the problem with the lights and stuff is they were actually just unplugged in the roof, but he ran a whole bunch of extra wiring for upfitter switches for light bars and stuff in these fans. I took all that out. If you remember from the last video, it was sitting right there. I took all that out. Took all the wiring out. Fixed the original wiring, what was there. Not much of it was bad. There was a couple wires that got shorted and melted. I fixed that. And cleaned it all up out of here. I'm missing the hour meter. There's supposed to be an hour meter here also. We're missing that. But that all works. The temp gauge works, lights work. That's the radio, but high beam, low beam, but he took the front lights off of it like the 3000 has. But headlights work. Tail lights work. That's all good. So on the outside, we put a new oil pressure sensor in it because the old one was bad. I still got to service it and stuff, and fix a couple little low pressure cooler lines, which are no big deal. They're just leaking down the side, which is unsightly. And I need to replace the O-ring on the power steering pump. We fixed the exhaust on it. If you remember, I might have showed you or not, it had a stupid tall pipe on it that it wouldn't have cleared the barn door itself. So we fixed that, but I ran it for about 5 minutes and the baffle broke out of it, so it's going to need a muffler. I got a new plastic bowl for the air cleaner. New fuel lift pump. The only other thing I gotta do is fix this stupid Y. It's leaking coolant, as you can see. And then under here, my flashlight's going dead. It's got a Reman alternator on it because there is no replacement for the Lucas A133 alternator. and I did not like the Chinese aftermarket ones, so I opted to get this one rebuilt. Cost like 60 bucks, and I'm happy with it. The exhaust up pipe was also repaired because it was ripped off and cracked backwards. Put a new thermostat in it, new radiator cap also, because he said it didn't have a thermostat in it, but it actually did, but it was just gutted. So poor choice of words is, yes, technically it didn't have a thermostat in it, but yes, it still had the empty housing in it. I have a new lower radiator hose and stuff for it, because this one is split somewhere right there at the tip of the light. You might not be able to see it. So that's still got to get changed. It needs new fan belts. Just a bunch of stupid little stuff. But that's all for that. Nothing horribly major. On to the dual power. Since my light is dead, you may or may not be able to see, but I'll try to make this quick. So this line right here is the feed line to the dual power. Well, behind the fitting, or the nut I should say on the line, is a little metal screen. It's about this tall, probably an 1/8 inch in diameter. What had happened was that screen got plugged, which stopped flow to the dual power. And for those of you who don't know what the dual power is, it is a hydraulic clutch pack that is a 2-speed. And without pressure, it doesn't lock either one. So what my theory is, when he replaced the hydraulic pumps, probably the old one failed and it sent a bunch of aluminum into this line in the screen, because I did clean a bunch of aluminum out of the line and the screen itself. But I didn't find any in the pickup screen for the pump or anything like that. So I cleaned this line all out, cleaned the screen all out, fired it up, and it worked. So I'm not going to complain there, but that is in turn what was ultimately wrong with it. So that's pretty much the update. It's March 2nd. So yeah, it's been a couple months. So there's the update on it. It does work, it does run, it does drive, the heat works. It does not have AC, but the heat does work, and it works fairly well. Before I cut this, I'll climb up there and fire it up. It does run good, actually. I have ground feed with it and taken out manure. I don't know what it's going to do because, like I said, I unhooked this yesterday, so I don't know where these functions are sitting at right now, but we will start it up. It usually starts pretty good. Alrighty, that's it for this.